Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 3 of the cut. And I call it day 3 of the cut, but I've already messed up my diet a little bit. But we're going to rebound today, refocus, relock in. You know, it's part of the process. Some of us are better at sticking to diets than others, but I'm going to try really hard. And I promise to be transparent throughout this journey. If you don't want to sit here and watch this car talk, probably somewhere between 8 and 15 minutes through this, it'll be my workout, and then I'll have a post-workout car talk. And, you know, if bodybuilding's something you're into or you're interested in the ups and downs of cutting down, then maybe hit that subscribe button. If you got questions you want me to answer in videos, leave a comment below. But let's get started on some of these questions. What's your primary goal for today's chest session? Size, strength, or endurance? I think it's a little bit of everything. I think once you get into bodybuilding and you start to, understand some things, that all of that stuff comes into play. Like, if you do slow tempo cable flies, you're focusing on that stretch, that squeeze, time under tension. If you're doing bench press, you can focus on the same things, but generally people like to go a little heavier there, so you're focusing on strength. And both of those things in combination will correlate to more size. So I don't think it's one thing or the other. I think all three come into play in some sort of way, and they kind of intermeld, right? So I think you need all of those things. Which chest exercises are you most looking forward to hitting? So for a while now, I've been nursing like a little bit of a shoulder tweak, a little bit of a shoulder injury. But I've been wanting to get back into heavy bench pressing. And, I just touched on that a little bit. It's just been a little while. Like before the end of the year, I finally hit 225, and I'd never done that. And unfortunately, I wasn't even recording it, so everybody just has to take my word for it. But I don't know if I'll hit 225 today or not, or if I'll just put 135 on there and do like 15 reps and that'll feel good. Like, I really don't know. But the goal is going to be to do some bench pressing and, just kind of work the weight up a little bit and just see where my shoulder health is at and just see if I can move around some weight. Are you planning to go heavier or focus more on volume today? Both. So I want to go heavy on the bench press. And then if I do some cable flies, some assisted dips, some cable presses, the chest press machine, I'll probably focus a little more on volume. It's just the strategy I like to do. It's what feels best for my chest. What's your rep range goal for your main compound lift? That's a pretty good question. I would say anywhere between no less than 6 and no more than 12. Like, I want to be somewhere in the middle there. Like, a good range to me would be 8, 9, maybe even 10. That for me, it gives me the best chest pump. And I'm also working on progressive overload. There's a little bit of endurance mixed in there. So that's just what feels best for me on a compound lift. Are you incorporating any supersets or drop sets today? Probably not supersets. Drop sets, maybe, like towards the end of my workout, if I'm feeling like I want to finish off my chest with a little bit more of fatigue. I'll sit there for a second and I'll pump out a few more reps. So we'll just have to wait and see. How's your chest feeling after your last push day? Any soreness or tightness lingering? No, I feel pretty fresh. That's always good, feeling fresh going in. But once you warm, you never know until you start warming up. That's why you got to warm up. Do you feel fully recovered from your last upper body session? Not really. I had a pretty heavy back day. My back's a little sore, lower back, because I did some barbell rows and I hadn't done those in a while. So, it might play a factor in my overall central nervous system, my energy levels, and I think that's why it's kind of important to take rest days, but at the same time, I just love coming so much. It's hard for me to do that. Have you already visualized your first big set? I mean, a little bit, because we've been talking about doing some heavy bench press, and I was thinking about the last time I hit 225, and we're thinking about rep ranges before we even go in. So I'm thinking I'll probably get to 155, 165. I mean, it could be 185. I'm not sure. I mean, it just depends on my strength. So we'll just have to wait and see. Um, how was your pre-workout meal? Did it hit your usual macro targets? Yeah. So right now I still got a bunch of whole eggs in my refrigerator. I don't want to throw those away. I'm going to switch to egg white soon and take this cut very serious. But I ate 6 eggs, a little bit of olive oil in the pan, and I had 2 rice cakes for my carbs with some low sugar jelly. And it was around 600 calories, about 40 grams of protein. I can't remember how many carbs, but I do have some carbs in my system. Took my pre-workout, and I think I'm feeling pretty good about it. Are you planning to hit incline, flat, and decline movements? I can't really do a lot of incline. That seems to bother my shoulder even more. But I feel like I do enough variety of like cable flies and cable presses and stuff that I'm hitting my upper chest okay. Um, but as soon as my shoulder health is where I want it to be, I'll start incorporating some more incline. But it just feels like that deep stretch. Maybe I just don't need to stretch as deep for a while on incline. It's an interesting thing to talk about. So we'll have to figure that out. Which mind muscle connection cue works best for you on your chest? So when doing any kind of pressing movement, I like to tuck my shoulders in, poke my chest out, and just really try to feel my chest pushing the weight up. So I think that's pretty helpful. And you'll have that aha moment if you haven't been training for a long time, because right now you're probably just throwing the weight up with your arms. You don't even know. But to really engage your chest, it's pretty cool. Are you going to train to failure on any of your sets today? Absolutely. There's some times where, I just take my training as I go. Like, I don't plan to go in and say, I'm going to train every set to failure. There'll be some sets to failure. There'll be some sets where I leave 2 or 3 reps in the tank. It's just an in the moment decision. Like, if it's feeling good, my shoulder's not hurting, and I want to keep pushing, and I feel like I got a few more reps in there, I will try my best to press them out. But, that's just how I train. What's your warm-up protocol for chest days? Very important. Rotator cuff. I attach a band to the bar in there. I do the little side, and then I do like this for my rotator cuff. I do 5 on each side, the sideways, and then I do 5 on each side the other way, and I repeat that 3 or 4 times until I feel like I'm nice and warm and ready. And then when I go to do bench press, I start with just the bar, put 25, put a 35, slow down, just do a few reps. And when it feels right, that's when I start my working sets. That's what's really helped my shoulder heal up quite a bit. Any mobility or activation drills you like before pressing? Just the rotator cuff warm up and just slowly working the weight up, I think. Is your shoulder positioning solid to protect your joints during pressing? Now it is. That's why it's important when you're doing bench press that you tuck your shoulders in, poke your chest out, and try to press with your chest. Because if you're pressing with your arms, it's going to radiate it down into your shoulders. And that's probably one of the many things that cause my shoulder issues. Are you tracking your weights and reps during this session? I just use my memory, and I also just go by what feels good. So I can't really say, hey, I did 155 for 12 last chest session, so I'm going to go in today. I'm going to try 165 for 12. Like, that's just not my mind muscle connection, my mind to fatigue ratio, how it feels. I think that's a lot more important. It's okay to track your stuff, and it does work for some people, but for me, I just like to go by feel. What's your post-workout recovery plan today? Meal, stretch, foam roll? Just the meal. Like, I should not be an asshole, and I should probably start stretching, but I'm just not there at the moment. Post meal is going to be I'm going to dice up some potatoes, put 120 calories worth of olive oil in my little air fryer, and fry those up. Eat some 96 lean ground beef. That's around 600 to 700 calories, plenty of carbs, about 60 to 70 grams of protein. You know, it's pretty solid. And then for dinner, it's just going to be veggies and chicken. That's my strategy right now. And that's totaling out to somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 calories, which is where I want to be during an aggressive cut. But, you know, I keep having cravings. I just got to fight it. Like when you're a cut, you're just going to have to suffer a little bit. If you're in a serious cut, you're going to have to suffer a little bit. That's just something you have to get comfortable with. And if you understand that before going into that cut, then I think it's going to be very, very helpful. Are you filming any parts of today's workout for your vlogs or shorts? So I've kind of backed up on the shorts. I really want to focus on my long content and make my long content a little bit better. So that's kind of what this is, the whole question thing and all this. My intent before was to go in there and film every set. And, you know, it was okay, but it just kind of felt like I was going to the gym just to film my sessions. So right now, my goal is to just film one set of every exercise I do. And, you know, put up some background music. I hadn't really figured out what I really want to do. I feel like I could do that portion of my vlog better. Like I could, I wish I had my own gym and I'd just talk through the whole thing, but that's just not where I'm at right now. But, you know, there might be some days I don't even film my workout. It's just, like, I want to come to the gym because I love going to the gym, but I also want to film it for you guys. So we'll just have to see how this thing evolves over time. What would make you walk away from this session saying this was a great lift? I think most sessions, 90% of sessions, I walk away from saying this is a great lift because I have a mindset that your lift is not conducive. Like your lift, you can't judge your lift based on your last lift. Like the effort is going to be, the weights are going to be different every time you go into the gym. Like not every time, but you may hit 185 this session, then this session it feels heavy. Like the effort you put in when you go in the gym is what you should judge. Like if you put the same amount of effort in and you can only do 155 for 12, but last time you did 185 for 10, but if the effort is there and you pushed yourself hard and you know you pushed yourself hard, then there's nothing to be upset about. So to answer that question, I already know it's going to be a great lift because I'm already going in there and I'm going to hit it as hard as I can and I'm going to leave the gym satisfied. So let's get in there and get started on this chest day. I'll see you guys in a minute. Enjoy the lift and let's get after it. guys, there you have it. Chest day is complete. So overall, I would rate the chest day as, I'd say, about a 9 out of 10. It was a really good one. Definitely went hard on the bench press like I said I was going to. And I guess we'll talk through the workout since I wasn't able to record all of it today. I guess I could have, but you know, there was just too many people in there for me to feel comfortable catching people in the background and stuff, because you know, if you've ever been in an Anytime Fitness, it's not really a really big gym. Like, it's kind of small, but your likelihood of catching people in the background of your videos is pretty high, and especially when it's kind of crowded. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Let's see. So I started with some cable. So I did my warm-up. Rotator cuff warm-up was good. Cable presses felt good. Nice deep stretch, pressing, holding. Went up a few pounds in that one. And then I did my bench press. And so when I went to that, normally when I start an exercise, I don't warm up if I've already warmed up that muscle. But being a heavy compound exercise, I just start slow. Started with the bar, 25 pounders, 45 pounders, and slowly worked my way up. Excuse me. So my first real working set was at 185. I felt pretty strong, so I wanted to see if I could push it. I did 4 reps, and then it was hard to get that 4th rep up, and you know, I kind of went, ugh, like I hyped myself up to try to do another rep, and it was pretty close to not catching it. So, you know, that was a little, it's good to have a spotter. I might have went for a 6th rep if I had a spotter, which probably wouldn't have been smart either. But felt good to hit 5 reps at 185, so my strength is there. And then, so I recorded those two. The other 2 exercises I didn't. I did supine press. It's moderate-ish weight, and I went to failure on that, 2 sets. And then I used the machine chest press they had. I did 1 set to failure. I lowered the weight a little bit. I did 1 set to failure, then I did a drop set, halved the weight about, and did another set, and that was it. And I did my 30 minutes of cardio, which something else I'm proud of is that I usually do a 5 incline on 3 miles per hour. I worked my way up to 3.5. Did that for the last 15 minutes of the 30-minute cardio. Got a good sweat going, felt good about that. I do have leg day tomorrow, so if that negatively affects my leg days, then in the future on my chest day, I will just back off on the cardio just a little bit. So we'll see how I feel tomorrow. But yeah, solid chest day. So let's just jump into these questions, shall we? What was the main focus of today's chest workout? Strength, hypertrophy, or endurance? I mean, that's similar to the question that I answered before, and it's a little bit of everything. I started with a little bit of endurance, hypertrophy, you could say, on doing the cable presses. You know, you keep tension on your muscle throughout that entire motion, so that was a pretty good starter for me. So I'm getting a parking spot here. Strength was the bench press. I wanted to go heavy on bench press because it's been a little while, and it felt pretty good. I don't know if I'll do it every single chest workout, but we'll see. So what exercise hit your chest the hardest today? I would say the last machine press, where I did the drop set on my last set. I think that hit the hardest. Combination of things. 1, it was at the end of my workout. I was pretty fatigued. 2, that machine keeps tension on your chest throughout the entire motion. And 3, I did a drop set. So of course that's going to hit me the hardest. Did you set or break any PRs? I don't know if I've ever done 185 for 5 before. I'm really not sure. I don't think I have, so we'll just go ahead and call that a PR. Let's see. What was your favorite part of the workout? I would say, I mean, pretty much the whole thing. It was a solid chest day from beginning to end. The warm-up felt good. All 4 of the exercises I did felt good. Pose down felt good. The cardio felt great. And, you know, I'd pretty much say the entire thing. Was there any point where you wanted to quit, and what pushed you through? I would say after the 4th rep at 185, I wanted to quit. But I reminded myself that I'm going in there and I'm trying to become the best version of me that I can, that I'm trying to push through my limits. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to get in the best shape I've ever been in my life. You know, that's something I remind myself of all the time, of, you know, basically of why I'm doing this. So that definitely helped me get that 5th rep out. And, you know, having that mental edge is really going to help you through some tough points of your workouts. How did your pump feel at the end of the session? It felt amazing. It felt like a pretty good pump throughout, but doing that drop set at the end, I think kind of pushed it over the limit and really felt like my chest was full of blood. You know, flexing the mirror, it looked pretty cool. How did your warm-ups set the tone for the session? Rotator cuff warm-up when you're doing your chest, guys. Do it every single time. It's non-negotiable, right? You cannot not do your rotator cuff warm up. I made that mistake and I'm still suffering for it today. Whether you feel pain in your shoulder or not, always do your rotator cuff warm up. White mind muscle connection cues helped you get more out of your sets. Just pushing with my chest, you know, just thinking about that, because it's so easy to go into the gym on chest day and just throw around weight and, you know, just push as much weight as you can. But if you're not trying to push with your chest, you know, it feels kind of like you're wasting your time, right? Did you train to failure on any sets? Why or why not? I think the only sets I did not train to failure on was the beginning when I was doing the cable presses. I didn't want to completely and totally exhaust myself before I went and did some heavy bench press, but I also didn't want to just jump into heavy bench press. It's just something that feels better for me. It always feels better if I do something before I do my heavy set of bench press. So that's the reason I didn't go to failure on those. Everything else, I think I went to failure or pretty close to failure today. What's one thing you'd improve if you could redo today's workout? One thing I would improve, man, I don't know. It felt like a pretty solid workout, but there's always room for improvement. Maybe a little bit of form tweaks on... I don't know. I'd have to really think about that one, and I just don't got it right now. So, you know, we'll put that one on the back burner. How did your pre-workout meal or supplement affect your performance? I think it helped out a lot. I hadn't had my pre-workout for a while. I used Chris Bumstead's pre-workout Bum Energy. Just looked at the ingredient list and I liked it. It's not just because, you know, he uses it. You know, I just like the ingredient list. I think it helped a lot. It's got some Himalayan pink salt in it, 200 milligrams of caffeine, which is about what I want. I don't really think I need much more than that. It's got other stuff in there, vitamin, you know, it's just the pre-workout I like. And it does affect the pump. That salt helps with the pump. And I had a couple rice cakes for the carbs, the eggs for the protein. You know, I think overall that did help with the pump. I think I do still get better pumps in the afternoon because I've had at least 2 meals by the time I go to the gym instead of 1. So I'm more hydrated. I have more carbs going through my system. You know, I just think it's optimum to go in the afternoon. Still good pump though. Did you notice any difference in your strength or endurance from last week? Well, my exercise selection wasn't the same. The order wasn't the same, so it's kind of hard to compare. But I did feel pretty strong in the bench press, which was pretty exciting because I really wanted to get in there and push some weight around, and it felt pretty good. So I think not going first thing in the morning is the way to go. Sometimes it's just going to be how it has to be, though. Like, until I can make, you know, YouTube close to my full-time job, as soon as I can monetize, I think it'll be easier to always go in the afternoon because sometimes I just need some extra money and it's just not, I just have to get my workout out early in the day. Let's see. How are you managing recovery between push days? I'm making sure I get at least 6 hours of sleep most days. I'd really like to get 8. I know that's around optimum for recovering muscle growth. Making sure I get my 150 grams of protein. Making sure, even though I'm in a cut, that I'm not getting too crazy with it and dropping below like 1,500 calories. I think that's important. But that's really pretty much it. Let's see. How are you protecting your shoulder joints during heavy presses? So perfect example today was the bench press. So I did a rotator cuff warm up, which was important. And to me, doing some kind of cable movement, maybe even a machine movement, something that's a little easier on your shoulders, but also gets your chest ready for the heavy load and actually warms your shoulders up a little bit, I think is important. And then just tucking my shoulders in, rolling my shoulders back, and just keeping my elbows kind of close to my body, making sure they don't flare out, and just pushing that weight with my chest. I think that's going to help a lot. Are you seeing any new definition or striations in your chest yet? Not yet, and I know why. I know exactly why. It's the beginning of this cut. It takes a little while to really see the difference. And the fact that I think I'm somewhere between 14 and 18% body fat right now. And it was easy for me. I wouldn't say 18. I'd say closer to 14%. And cutting down from 20+%, which is where I think I was at, it went pretty fast. But then I hit a wall, and I haven't really made that adjustment until now that, hey, this is what you need to eat. So I think after a couple weeks of being in a slightly aggressive calorie deficit, that we're going to start seeing more definition. So that's pretty exciting. How does training chest impact your confidence or posture outside the gym? That's a pretty good question, because I have noticed with some of the shirts that I'm wearing that the shirt kind of hangs off my chest now, and the fact that I've lost a little bit of belly fat, that it's more the large shirts instead of the medium shirts, that the fact that my chest is a little bit bigger, that it hangs over my belly and you can't really see the little bit of belly fat I have. And when you notice that in the mirror, it does give you a boost of confidence. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty good question. What's one tip you'd give someone struggling to grow their chest? That's another good question. Unfortunately, one thing, we'll just get the unfortunate one out of the way. Genetics play a big factor in, your overall muscular development. But if you're struggling to grow your chest, you got to answer yourself a few questions, right? So first question is, are you pushing the weight with your chest? Is there a form adjustment that needs to be made? That's something you really have to ask yourself and be honest. And that's an adjustment you need to make. Another one, are you training your chest at least twice a week? Are you just doing it once a week, or are you doing it twice a week? Nutrition, are you getting at least 1 gram of protein per lean body fat? Are you getting enough carbs? Are you getting enough calories? Are you sleeping enough at night? Are you trying to go to the gym in the afternoon when your strength is at its highest? Are you doing too much volume? Or are you doing not enough volume? I think the sweet spot is somewhere between 6 and 12 sets. Hard sets close to failure. I think if you're doing that over the long term, your chest is going to grow. Are you doing any kind of incline pressing if your shoulder health is good? Are you doing time under tension? Are you mixing that in with some heavy pressing? There's a lot of things that go into it, but the most important thing is hit your protein, push with your chest, go to failure or close to failure on every set, go hard, work your chest out twice a week, and I think you'll be good. But you know what? That's about it. That's question number 20. That's all the questions I had today. If you're liking this content, hit that subscribe button. If you're into bodybuilding and you have any questions for me, I love answering questions. For now, I'm just using random questions I find, but I really want to personalize this content, and I want to be able to engage with you guys. So I really want people to start asking questions. And that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Tomorrow is leg day. I'm sure it'll be a good one. It will be an afternoon lift since I have to be at work at 5 in the morning. And that's it, guys. Don't let that dreamer die. Keep the grind alive. And for the love of God, don't give up on yourself. Have a good one, guys.